The police raided my house because I changed my Wi-Fi password. Yeah, let that sink in for a second. I didn't rob a bank, didn't hack a government server. I just wanted my internet to stop dropping every 5 minutes so I could finish my remote work. But apparently, in my neighborhood, that simple act was enough to trigger a full-blown emergency response. My name's Paul King, systems engineer, quiet guy, not exactly the kind that makes headlines. Yet that Tuesday morning, I had red and blue lights bouncing off my living room window, an HOA president screaming about cyber interference, and half my neighbors recording it like it was the season finale of some suburban reality show. See, when I first moved to Lakeside Grove, I thought I'd finally found peace. It was one of those picture-perfect neighborhoods, trimmed lawns, smiling mailmen, sunsets that looked straight out of a Hallmark postcard. I bought a small brick house on the corner, set up my home office by the window, and thought, this is it. Coffee, clean air, fast Wi-Fi. Heaven. Then I met her. Ella Thomas, HOA president, mid-50s, hair sprayed so tight it looked bulletproof, eyes sharp enough to cut through drywall. She ran the homeowners association like it was a private kingdom. You'd think she was elected governor of suburbia. She measured grass height with a ruler, took photos of your trash cans if they weren't perfectly aligned, and once fined a guy for leaving a garden hose aesthetically uncoiled. Most people feared her. The rest faked smiles and paid their fines. Me? I figured if I kept my head down, we'd stay out of each other's way. At first, it was small stuff. She'd stroll past with her clipboard, pretending to inspect the neighborhood, muttering things like, mailbox flag isn't HOA red, or those solar panels weren't pre-approved. I wrote her a polite letter once, citing state energy laws that made my panels perfectly legal. She didn't respond, but her silence had that sharp, brittle quality, the kind that tells you she's plotting a new rule just to make your life harder. So I stayed civil, smiled when we crossed paths, told myself, let it go, Paul. Some people need control to survive. Then my Wi-Fi started acting up. At first, I thought it was my ISP. I ran diagnostics, rebooted everything, even replaced the cables. Still, it kept cutting out. So I checked the router logs, and that's when I noticed something weird. A device I didn't recognize kept reconnecting. Its name, Lakeside HOA Network. At first, I thought it was just signal overlap from a neighbor, but the data usage, hundreds of megabytes, daily. It wasn't random. Someone, or something, was using my internet. I changed my password. Then, for fun, renamed my Wi-Fi to No More Free Wi-Fi. I even laughed about it while making coffee. But by noon, there was a knock on my door. I opened it and found Ella, clutching her HOA binder so tight her knuckles turned white. Mr. King, she snapped. What have you done to the community network? The what? I asked. Our cameras, she said, as if it was obvious. The HOA security system. You've shut us down. I blinked. Lady, I just changed my Wi-Fi password. Her jaw tensed. Our community network runs on shared bandwidth. It's in the bylaws. I crossed my arms. That clause is about maintaining sprinklers, not Wi-Fi. Her eyes narrowed. You are interfering with community infrastructure. Reconnect immediately, or what? I asked, smirking. Or I'll call the police and report a digital interference violation. I actually laughed. You're going to call 911 because I changed my Wi-Fi password? Yes, she hissed. You're endangering the neighborhood. By then, half the block was watching. Curtains shifting, phones recording. I sighed. Go ahead. Call them. And she did. 5 minutes later, sirens wailed in the distance. And I remember thinking, there's no way they're actually coming. But they did. When the cops showed up, I thought maybe they'd just tell her to calm down. Maybe remind her that changing Wi-Fi passwords wasn't exactly a felony. But nope. 2 officers got out. One older with that tired look of a man who's seen too many HOA complaints, and one younger who couldn't hide the tiny smirk tugging at the corner of his mouth. Afternoon, the older one said, eyes flicking between me and Ella. We got a call about Wi-Fi. Yes, Ella blurted, almost cutting him off. He's disabled the HOA's surveillance grid. Our entire camera system went offline this morning, and now the neighborhood is unprotected. I raised an eyebrow. Surveillance grid? You mean your cameras? Yes, the HOA security system, she said, puffing her chest out. It runs on a shared network. Every home contributes bandwidth. It's part of our community safety initiative. The older cop looked at her like she'd just told him the moon was made of cheese. So everyone uses his Wi-Fi? It's a cooperative system, she insisted, and that word, cooperative, came out stretched, like she was trying to cover a crack in the wall with a Band-Aid. I crossed my arms. I never agreed to share anything. You were stealing bandwidth. Plain and simple. That's a lie, she shot back. We had access for months, and he never complained. The younger cop tilted his head, smirking. So, you did have access to his network? It's for safety, she stammered, her voice climbing a few decibels higher. His router has the strongest signal in the neighborhood. We needed it for the HOA cameras. Now the older cop sighed, the kind of sigh that said, I can't believe this is my Tuesday. Ma'am, that's not how networks work. You can't just use another resident's private internet without consent. That's a privacy violation. Privacy violation? She scoffed. He's part of the community. We share resources here. I looked her dead in the eye. Not my data, we don't. And that was when her face shifted, the fury, the disbelief, like she couldn't process the idea that someone might actually say no to her. Mr. King, she said through clenched teeth, you are undermining our safety initiative. Without that connection, our cameras can't function. Then maybe, I said, the HOA should pay for its own network. That hit her like a slap. Her jaw locked, her fingers tightened on that binder, and I swear she almost vibrated with rage. You think you can defy this community and get away with it? She hissed. Before I could answer, the older officer, Sergeant Reeves, his badge said, stepped forward. You're not above the law, Mrs. Thomas. That shut her up for a few seconds. Then, like flipping a switch, she turned sweet, fake sincere. Officers, if you're so concerned about privacy, maybe you should check his devices. Who knows what kind of illegal activity he's hiding? I barked a laugh. Seriously? Now I'm a hacker. She smiled, thin and poisonous. If he has nothing to hide, why is he being so defensive? Reeves looked at me, then back at her. Ma'am, that line might work at HOA meetings, but not here. But the younger cop, Lewis, gave me a look, a question. Sir, would you mind if we check your router, just so we can close this out? Be my guest, I said, stepping aside. It's right this way. Inside, the air was heavy, tense. I led them into my office, the router blinking innocently on the desk like it wasn't the center of suburban warfare. Reeves bent over, checking the device logs. His eyebrows went up fast. Well, I'll be damned. What is it? I asked. He pointed to the screen. You've got an active connection from something called Lakeside HOA main cam server. It's still trying to connect. You aware of that? Nope, I said. That's what I've been trying to stop. Lewis leaned in closer. Looks like the connection's coming from the HOA clubhouse. Both cops exchanged a glance. That's silent law enforcement language that means, oh crap, this is bigger than we thought. Outside, Ella was pacing the driveway, talking at the neighbors like she was giving a press conference. I could hear her voice through the open window. He's deleting evidence. He's trying to hide what he's done. Reeves sighed. Sir, would you be willing to come with us to the HOA office to verify something? Gladly, I said, grabbing my keys. When we stepped out, the street had turned into a live show. Half the neighborhood was out now. Janet, the woman with the pink sweatpants who vlogged everything. Mark, the retired teacher who got fined for planting tomatoes. And a few others pretending to water their lawns while holding their phones up. Ma'am, Reeves said, we're just going to check the HOA systems. You can't. Ella snapped. That's private property. Private property or not, he said. If there's evidence of illegal activity, we have probable cause. You have no jurisdiction here, she shouted. This is HOA sovereignty. Lewis blinked. Did you just say HOA sovereignty? I actually laughed out loud. Guess she thinks she's the president of her own country now. She glared daggers at me. You'll regret mocking me. Within an hour, 2 more patrol cars arrived. Someone must have called for a search warrant because I watched Reeves hold up a folded sheet of paper and say calmly, County approved. Step aside. When they opened that clubhouse door, the smell of lemon cleaner hit first, everything polished to a fake shine. But behind a locked maintenance door, they found it. Racks of servers humming softly, rows of monitors glowing with dozens of live feeds. Front yards, driveways, patios, kitchens, even a baby's nursery. Lewis swore under his breath. Holy hell, this is insane. Reeves turned slowly toward Ella. Mrs. Thomas, what exactly are we looking at? She faltered for the first time, voice cracking. It's our safety system. Inside people's homes. Reeves barked. Only if their cameras connected voluntarily, she said weakly. I stepped closer, heart pounding. On one of the screens, my own backyard filled the frame. Zoomed in on my patio table, my laptop visible through the reflection in the glass door. Voluntary, huh? I said quietly. Her lips trembled. This is a misunderstanding. Reeves didn't buy it. No, this is invasion of privacy and unauthorized surveillance. He pointed to one of the cables. You've been routing your feeds through his Wi-Fi to hide your signal. I did it for the good of the neighborhood, she screamed. No, I said. You did it for control. For once, she had no comeback. Within minutes, the officers were pulling cables, tagging evidence, photographing the scene. One of the monitors was labeled HOA Cam Master. The irony was almost funny. Outside, Janet was streaming live under the title, HOA President Busted for Spying, and I could see news vans already circling the block. When they led Ella out, handcuffed, neighbors surrounded her, shouting questions. Were you spying on us? You recorded our kids? Did you watch us swim? She tried to speak, but her voice drowned in the chaos. She turned to me as they guided her to the car, her eyes burning. You think you've won, Paul? You embarrassed this community. They'll turn on you next. I met her gaze. At least they'll do it using their own internet. The car door slammed shut, and for the first time since I'd moved there, Lakeside Grove was quiet. Not peaceful, just stunned. That night, I couldn't sleep. The hum of the router in my office sounded like a heartbeat in the dark. I kept thinking about all those monitors, all those lives she'd been peering into. The next morning, police tape wrapped around the clubhouse like a yellow scar. News vans camped outside. Everyone was whispering. And when Sergeant Reeves and a man from the Cybercrime Task Force, Agent Rowe, came by, I braced myself for whatever they'd found. They told me Ella had been streaming the footage to a private cloud, under her name, her personal email tied to it. She'd been watching everyone for months, tagging names, license plates, schedules, even flagging non-compliant behavior. She used your network to mask her signal, Rose said. You were basically her proxy. I just stood there, numb. All that time, I thought my Wi-Fi glitching was a tech issue. Turns out it was a woman trying to play Big Brother with a binder. That night, Janet, the neighborhood vlogger, showed up at my door with a box of cookies. Just wanted to say thank you, she said. You stopped her. She even had footage of my backyard hot tub. My husband's still mortified. I tried to smile, but it didn't come easy. She always said it was about safety. Janet sighed. Turns out it was about control. She was right. Control disguised as concern. Power wrapped in politeness. And I realized something then. Maybe that's how all tyranny starts. Not with a bang, but with a Wi-Fi signal. The trial came faster than anyone expected. For weeks, Lakeside Grove had turned into a circus. Reporters on lawns, neighbors whispering on sidewalks, news anchors calling it the Wi-Fi scandal. When I took the stand, the courtroom felt smaller than it should have, like every breath carried weight. Ella sat across from me in a gray suit instead of her usual pink blazer, her face pale but chin still tilted high. The kind of posture that said I'm not guilty, I'm misunderstood. Her lawyers claimed she'd acted with good intentions, that it was all community oversight gone too far. But when the prosecutor pulled up her emails, the ones where she'd written, "These fools don't even know they're on camera," the entire room gasped. Then came my turn. I told them everything, from the first Wi-Fi glitch to the flashing police lights on my wall. When the prosecutor asked what it felt like to realize my private life had been broadcast across the neighborhood, my throat tightened. It felt like being robbed, I said. Not of money, but of trust. Every private moment in my own home turned into entertainment for someone who thought she was above the rules. Ella didn't look at me once. The judge's verdict came quiet but sharp. Guilty. 18 months probation, community service, and a lifetime ban from any HOA board. No prison time, but the humiliation was punishment enough. The judge's final words still echo in my mind. No one, regardless of title or authority, has the right to invade another person's home under the guise of protection. Outside, cameras flashed like lightning. A reporter asked how it felt to win. I didn't win, I said. Privacy did. For a while, peace returned. Lakeside Grove began to heal. People waved again. Kids played by the lake. Porch lights felt warm instead of watchful. The HOA even offered me a permanent position as a tech advisor to rebuild the system the right way. I almost said no, but then I realized maybe someone needed to make sure it never happened again. We rewrote every bylaw, stripped out the hidden clauses, banned any surveillance without full community consent. I renamed the network HOA Spy-Free Zone, and the first time I announced it, people actually cheered. For the first time, the HOA meetings didn't feel like trials. They felt like conversations. And then one afternoon, I saw her. Ella Thomas, thinner, quieter, standing by the old clubhouse. She carried a small box, set it gently on the steps, then turned and saw me. For a second, we just looked at each other. No anger, no arrogance, just exhaustion. She gave a faint nod and drove away. Inside the box was her old HOA badge, a set of keys, and a handwritten note. To the new board, consider this my final act of compliance. I thought I was protecting people. Turns out, I was only protecting my own power. I stood there a long time, holding that paper, realizing it was the first honest thing she'd ever said. Months later, when the neighborhood hosted its first community picnic since the scandal, everyone laughed about it in the way people do when the pain's finally distant, like a scar that stopped stinging but never really disappears. Someone even printed t-shirts that said, "Truth has better Wi-Fi." And yeah, I wore one. Now the servers hum quietly in the new clubhouse, encrypted, legal, transparent. The kids run past them on their way to the pool, and every once in a while, I catch myself smiling. The world didn't change overnight, but one neighborhood learned what it means to draw a line. Because that's what this story was really about, not Wi-Fi, not revenge, but boundaries. The invisible ones we all need to stay human. You can have perfect lawns, tidy streets, and smiling faces, but if you trade away your privacy for the illusion of safety, you're already living in a cage. And all it takes to open the door is one person saying no. So tell me, what would you have done? If your HOA president tried to control your home through your own Wi-Fi, would you fight back or keep quiet just to avoid trouble? Drop your thoughts below, because I genuinely want to know who's right, who's wrong, and where do we draw the line between safety and freedom? And hey, if you've ever lived through HOA madness, share your story. Let people hear it. Let the truth travel, because truth, my friends, always has better Wi-Fi.